One of my first encounters with the New York public school system was getting bullied. My dad was super wigged out and he decided to enroll me in Japanese jiu-jitsu. I never anticipated becoming a world champion. I was surprised every single time. I feel very privileged to be in the camp of a larger woman. Like I'm almost 6 feet tall, like 190 pounds. Hard to kidnap. I grew up having maybe one female training partner to train with. I never liked competing. You have to train through injuries and just kind of live a very weird dissociated lifestyle. My second year at Pans as a black belt, I was competing against this girl, Samela. She rolled us over and I was putting on a triangle and I was pulling on my own shin and I pulled my shin in so hard that I dislocated my own kneecap and I heard and then I went, ah! And I was just like, keep going. And then the referee was like, stop being dramatic.
Welcome to another episode of Kit and the Brit. My name is Kit, and I'm with your favorite Brit,
Sean.
Today, we have a very dear and special guest to us. We have Dominyka, a.k.a. Dom the Bomb. Yeah. Dom, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm your favorite non-Brit.
Yes, I had to fly you all the way from the West Coast in here, right?
That's right. That's right.
Tell the viewers a little bit about yourself.
Well, I used to work for Kit and Sean at Hinds Combat Sports, and then sadly I left to pursue my own life journey as a jiu-jitera and an artist out in California. So right now I live in Pasadena. I teach jiu-jitsu out of a gym called Frogtown Jiu-Jitsu in Glendale. But in a previous life, I was a multiple-time world champion in jiu-jitsu and was a competitive athlete.
Multiple.
Like multiple.
Super accomplished.
Yeah, just a touch.
Exactly, yeah. And we love to ask our guests what started their martial arts journey. Like, I think a lot of the viewers who are trying to get into martial arts really appreciate the stories. So.
Yeah, so I was born in Lithuania and I came to the States and lived in New York when I was like 7. And one of my first encounters with the New York public school system was getting bullied by a bunch of really trashy children. Right. So I had this bully in school when I was in first grade named Andrew. And he would tap you on the shoulder, wait for you to turn around, and then backhand you really, really hard. Wow. Oh my God. I'm getting so aggravated by the story. I'm starting to touch everything. I told my dad about this. My dad was super wigged out. And then he decided that the best solution to me getting bullied, because I didn't know English very well, I couldn't do like clapbacks. I didn't know how to say, like I would get confused
like,
on how to like,
mama,
I'm like, mama, yo, yeah. I don't understand. I don't know what to do. So I decided, or he decided rather for me, that I needed to learn how to defend myself. He was a huge like martial arts buff. He loved like Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee. He used to fight his friends in the woods. Oh, okay. Weird guy for sure, my dad. And he decided to enroll me in Japanese jiu-jitsu when I was like 7.5. And then when we ended up moving to New Jersey, he was looking for more Japanese jiu-jitsu schools to enroll me into. And then he found Brazilian jiu-jitsu, which he thought was the same thing. And then the first class I did, he was sold. He was like, this is way more realistic. You're going to do this. So that's how I got started.
But for those like myself, what's the difference between Japanese jiu-jitsu and Brazilian jiu-jitsu?
Right. So I think one always happens in like a really bad strip mall. And there's a lot of like push-ups and crunches and like standing in the corner if you're a bad kid. A lot of kyas. And then the other one is like an actual sport. So gotcha. I'm sorry to all the Japanese jiu-jitsu heads. No, Japanese jiu-jitsu is more like striking, like a little bit of like concepts from like Muay Thai and boxing, a little bit of sparring. But it was all super controlled because we were all kids. And it was really more of like a place where parents drop off their kids so they can like go, grab a beer and not worry about their children.
Okay.
Yeah.
So continue. You get enrolled in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Academy.
Yes. It was in, I believe, Fairfield, New Jersey. My first instructor was, honestly, this is so funny. If any of you jiu-jitsu people know the Ribeiro brothers who started Six Blades, my first jiu-jitsu instructor was the guitarist for Saulo Ribeiro's band. And I'm pretty sure he only wanted to be that and didn't actually care about jiu-jitsu. But in order to put up a front and stay in the band, he was like, no, this is a big passion of mine. Because usually my instructor would like sit in a corner, drink a Red Bull, like tell people to run, do push-ups, not really instruct. One time, he asked us kids, like, is anyone giving you trouble in school? And then this one kid, Christian, was like, yeah, someone is. So he had Christian come up to the front of the room, and he was like, okay, stand in front of me. You're the bully. This is what I do. I extend my hand out. I draw it back 90 degrees, and then I open palm slap to the face. And that was a real lesson that we practiced for like 30 minutes.
Wow.
I'm dead ass. I'm dead ass. And it was excellent, you know, in some ways, like I have this wonderful memory. But then pretty early on, you can kind of see like maybe this instruction isn't the best for someone that wants to develop at a higher level.
Right.
And one really interesting tidbit, I don't know if you guys know who JT Torres is. He's like an ADCC champion. Right. He owns a school in upstate called Essential. He was actually a blue belt at that school, and he was the first person I started to really kind of get or receive guidance from, like intensive guidance as a jiu-jitsu person. He would teach me privates. He would teach me wrestling. And he was the one who kind of like, he was the one that took on sort of like my journey in jiu-jitsu as my first like official instructor or mentor. And he was only, I believe, like 16 or 17 at the time. So
do you find at that time it was a little hard for you because you were a girl in this in the art?
Yeah, I think it was really hard. My dad was like a real hard ass. He was very strict. He was like, he expected me to perform like better and better at every single lesson. And a lot of the kids that went to that school were boys. The girls that went to that school were kind of like not super interested in it. It was just something their parents were making them do. And so a lot of the girls fell off, and I was kind of like the only one remaining for a really long time. And I had to train against boys. And there was like a huge, I mean, there still is a stigma for like boys to lose against girls. And there was a huge stigma at the time as well. So when I started to get like competitively better, because I was working a lot more than a lot of these kids to sort of develop my technique, and I was doing a lot of private lessons thanks to like my parents. When I started to beat the boys, they really had a hard time kind of accepting it. And then actually, I had a incident happen on the mat where this one kid that I had like a rivalry with, he was maybe 2 or 3 years older than me. I tapped him in a submission, and he, as soon as I let go of the submission, sort of like attacked me, like went after me and Kimura'd me really hard. And I started crying, and then my dad was like, what the hell? How could you let this happen? To the head instructor. And then I got taken out of the kids' classes and moved into adult classes after that as like, I think an 11-year-old. So
you were taking adults classes at
dude,
11?
Not only was I taking adult classes, I was training. One of my main training partners in the adult classes was a CO, a correctional officer who was 40 years old. And you think like, oh, because he's nice to you and very like intelligent and sweet, he's going to be a good training partner. This man like held me down and like kneed me in the face and gave me my first black eye. It was all non-intentional. It was an accident, but still, it's like...
He's practicing for the job.
Yes. Yes.
He really was practicing for the job. He really was.
Right.
Yeah.
So then as a 11-year-old Dom training with adults, where does your journey bring you? To New York City, or like I know you moved on to different camps?
Yeah, so I had a huge like crazy period of time between maybe like 11 and like 13, 14, where I was going to a lot of different gyms, learning from a lot of different instructors, and it was all because my dad was trying to find proper mentorship for me. A lot of the gyms that I went to were kind of sort of in the beginning phases or hobbyist gyms or something. And my dad was really interested in finding a very competitive gym where I would basically kind of get the best technique and work with world champion or elite level athletes. And so my dad found my like mentor and old time friend Emily Kwok at a Gold's Gym of all places in New Jersey. She was teaching women's classes there. I started to train with her. She quickly told me, you know, I'm not enough as a singular training partner for you. You need better instruction. You need more training partners. You need different like bodies to work with, and especially more women. So she suggested that we start going to Marcelo Garcia's in the city, which was in Chelsea. And so my dad and I would drive to Chelsea like 3 to 4 times a week from New Jersey. It was like an hour and a half to 2 hours one way, and then an hour back. And I started going there, I believe, when I was like 13. And it was awesome. It was really intense. I was really scared. I was the only kid my age there training with adults. And I was really, when you're surrounded by adults and you're a kid, you kind of don't know your place because you know that people see you as a kid, but you're trying to have conversations with these people like your friends.
Yeah.
So you don't find placement until you grow up a little bit, or you start to act like a clown because you're like, yeah, if they're laughing at me, then they like me. So
right.
that's kind of where I was in my like developmental phase, and I was slowly starting to get better and better as a competitor. And it was ultimately at Marcelo's where I won my first world championship at 14 in the adult division when I was a blue belt. Yeah, and then every single world championship that I won after that was also under Marcelo's banner.
I think the moral of this story is a lot of elite athletes and high-level individuals, behind the scenes, there's a driven parent.
Yeah,
right?
Yes, there has to be. Or there has to be some sort of like incentivizer, some sort of like flame. I really do think that without, as much as I had a hard relationship with my dad and our relationship is still like very interesting, but I think most people have interesting relationships with their parents. He was definitely a very intense coach, and I know he was he was doing his best to get me to succeed at a high level and kind of set me up for some sort of future. But he also, one lesson that I really appreciate that he instilled in me is that he never made me feel like because I was a woman or because I was a young girl that I wasn't going to measure up or be something great in the sport. He would actually do kind of the opposite. It was like reverse sexism, like, yeah, you're not weaker than the boys. You need to be beating them. Or like that grown man who's 35, you didn't submit him 3 times in one round. Like, what's wrong with you? So I was like, yeah, you're right. I can't do anything. So I definitely get my like knucklehead attitude from my dad, where sometimes I do get really riled up in training. I'm like, no, remember what your dad said? Like, that 200-pound man is not going to beat you. You're going to get him. And it's like, and then I get hurt and I'm like, wait, that was crazy. I won't do that again. But yeah, driven parents are definitely important, I think. But also, if you're a parent listening to this, you should consider the approach that you take as a coach, because not all parents should be coaches. And sometimes it's better to leave that role to the actual instructors and kind of support from the sidelines in a way that makes your child feel empowered and like they can have bad days and have situations that are failures and not take that in and perceive themselves as failures, and rather use that as a lesson or data to integrate and then move forward with for a more successful like goal in the future.
Definitely. That's great advice. Because what advice do you have? Because it broke my heart one day where my wife came home because she used to do jiu-jitsu and she was crying. She said that she knew she was better than this guy at her gym, but he used all his like 250-pound power and she felt helpless. So when she came home, she cried to me. And my wife is a very tiny woman. And I just felt so bad for her. So what advice do you have for women that are on their jiu-jitsu journey that feel like that sometimes? Is it perfectly normal? Is it okay? Does it get better with skill? Or
I mean,
what kind
you
of advice
should
do you have?
honestly, you should just like figure out their life patterns and see if you can poison them next
Yeah.
time you go to the coffee
Yes,
shop.
yes.
Yeah, if you can't beat them with strength, you gotta like
Exactly.
outwit them, right? I think that is a very big concern. I feel very privileged to be in the camp of a larger woman. Like, I'm almost 6 feet tall, like 190 pounds. Hard to kidnap. I feel like I haven't really had the experiences that a lot of smaller women that have to train with huge training partners all the time have. So I definitely feel for that plight, because it can feel super disempowering when you are trying your best to apply techniques and everyone's feeding you this line. This is a very technical sport. This is a technical art. You should be able to just get by with technique. And then when technique is the same, or when someone's strength is just unparalleledly larger than yours, it's so hard to make the situation work. So I think I would say, if you can't find training partners that are similar in size to you, or if you can't find like support system from other women in the school, make the goals a bit more internal than external. So if you can only train people that are bigger than you, I would say like figure out one thing that it is that you really want to work on, whether it's a specific technique or a sequence or even just the way that you approach training in an energetic fashion, and then see what kinds of changes you can implement that alter that or get you closer to that specific goal. An example could be like, maybe this guy always passes you. Like, you can't stop him from passing you 20 times in a round. Well, maybe next week the goal will be he'll only pass you 10 times in a round or 15 times. Or maybe you'll figure out how to mitigate his passing strategy and be able to hold guard better. So things like that, when you really lack resources or there's not a lot of options to work with, I think always like reprioritizing towards yourself and not towards the factors that you can't control is better.
Well, that's great advice. Yeah,
No,
that's
thank
great.
you.
Yeah.
You said that like a French guy. Like,
Yeah, definitely. No, but that's why Sean and I valued your time at Hinds in Long Island City so much, because I've never seen so many women on the mats, because I think you just give that great perspective on, being a woman in the sport as well.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I spoke about this with many people over the last 2 weeks because there was some jiu-jitsu drama going on in the jiu-jitsu sphere, and people are always asking this question of like, how do you make jiu-jitsu spaces safe, or how do you make them more inclusive? And I always say that it's better to put a woman at the front of the room like you guys did. Like, there's so few gyms out there that have female head instructors or women that are running co-ed classes, and that really destigmatizes the whole process. Like, it makes people assume that jiu-jitsu is a like gender inclusive sport, or it doesn't really matter if you're a man or a woman teaching it or training it. I remember one of my favorite memories from Hinds is having one of the male students come up to me in a class that was rather like large, and there were only guys in the class, and he came up to me all concerned and he was like, "Dom, where are all the girls?" And I was like, wow, his reality is one where women are an integrated part of jiu-jitsu. You come to class, you see women, and that's the normalized fashion. I grew up never having that, never seeing that, having maybe one female training partner to train with, if that. And to hear a man kind of say that was very, I don't know, it made me happy about the progression of the sport.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest with you. When someone suggested to me that you were looking to be a head coach, I would tell Sean, I don't know. There's not too many female head jiu-jitsu instructors. And exactly the scenario in my head that played out was male trials would come in and just go at the instructor, thinking if they tap this instructor out, I'm not going to sign up, because obviously I just tapped out the instructor, and I would just see you ragdoll, just ragdoll so many trials and just throw them around and submit them. So you definitely, like, the scenario in my mind did not happen at all.
No, not at all. Yeah, and I think the quality of a space you have where someone, I mean, we don't have to get into sort of like masculinity or femininity or anything like that, but generally in a male-dominated space, there's like machismo, right?
Yes.
So if you're a man that goes into a space, gets beat up by a woman, and then you're like, I want to learn from her.
Yes.
That seems like it's going to be a positive environment. You know what I mean? Where there's not a lot of ego, where people can be like humbled and not, go home and like plan their revenge plot and just like be like, we're gonna make this work in a positive way.
Winning your first title, what kind of feel? What was the buzz?
What was the buzz? The buzz was that I was super fucking injured. I dislocated my rib, or the cartilage on my rib, or however they want to phrase that, like 2 or 3 weeks before the World Championships. I was a green belt competing as a blue belt. I was 14 years old competing in the adult division, which is 18 plus. I was super underfed because my rib hurt so bad. It was like actually painful to like intake air, like breathe and do anything. So I wasn't eating a lot. I was taking pain medication, and I ended up getting like a fever a week before the tournament. I felt super weak. I remember the day before the competition, my dad was trying to run drills with me, and I was like, I can't even sit up. Like, I can't sit up. Like, it hurts so bad that I can't even sit up. And he was like, what are we even gonna do? How are you even gonna compete? And I'm like, I don't know, bitch, you're not competing, it's me. Like, I'll figure it out, I guess. It was so bad that when we were walking up the stairs to the pyramid, I was out of breath. I was like, how the fuck am I gonna compete when I'm out of breath just walking a flight of stairs? So I go into the first match, and I immediately in like the first 2 minutes get passed. And at the time, no one was passing my guard. It was like something that I was holding on to as like, this is the thing that makes me ironclad and is going to make me like the champion one day. And this girl passed my guard and I felt really crushed. And I was kind of like, oh, this is the beginning of the end. Like, I'm never going to come back from this. And then somehow I managed to sweep her. So I managed to get points back, but it was still not enough because we're at 3-2 now. She's winning by 3, or by 1 point rather. And at some point she goes to turtle, and it's time for me to start looking for her back. And I'm having a really hard time getting my hooks in because I'm so tired. And I just hear Marcelo's wife, Tati, who was there coaching me. She just screamed, "You get your hooks, you win the match." And I was like, okay, I get my hooks, I win the match. Just get your hooks in. And I remember just like jamming my feet into her hips. And I was like, ah! Like inside I was like, this is Sparta. Like, let's go. The hooks are going in. Yeah. And I won the match like that. I got my 4 points and I won. And I remember thinking, if I can win this match, I can win 2, I can win 3, I can win 4, I can win the whole thing. So I ended up taking a nap before my next match. And then I won that one. I won my third. And after every match, I was so exhausted and so sick that I would have to nap to not even think about like the process of competing. And my last match actually ended up being like one of my easier matches. And then I became a world champion for the first time at 14 years old. And I remember feeling so crazy, like so kind of like fever, like muddled in the head that I didn't really understand what was going on. But then when like the intensity of the win set in, Tachi, Marcelo's wife, was introducing me to all the world champions that were part of our team at the time. Lucas Lepre, Michael Langhi, just like all the greats. And I was shaking hands with all of them, like, nice to meet you, Mr. Lepre. Nice to meet you, Mr. Langhi. And I was like, I'm one of you now. Like, we're all in this together. Like, we're all part of the same crew. Like, me, the 14-year-old.
So you never met them prior to that?
No, never. It was a huge honor for me. Like, I had been looking up at these like men and women, like as I was like coming up the ranks, and just kind of looking at these people as people I'm aspiring to be like. And then I was like, yeah, they respect me now too, and they know who I am. So it was really crazy.
No, but the boost of confidence, 14-year-old Dom, broken ribs, and fever, and you still won a tournament.
Yeah.
It must have been wild.
The boost of confidence for me, and the absolute despair you must have felt if you were like my 20-something opponent who just lost to me and was like, fuck.
Yeah, after that, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. That's a great story. And what about some of the funnier or more risky times in tournaments that you've had? Like,
yeah, so I was like notoriously risk averse my entire competition journey, because for me I was like, I need to win, like I need to get the win. It doesn't matter how. If I win by an advantage, it's fine. Like, it doesn't matter if the match is boring. When I got to black belt and I won my first like world run, like I'm pretty sure I won Pans and then Worlds, my weight and absolute, I was like, okay, now it's not enough for me just to win. I need to be entertaining, because I was looking at guys like Gary Tonin who were really putting on a show. And I realized that even if Gary didn't win a match, people were still remembering him, and they were kind of citing him as this legendary athlete because of how active he was and how like beautiful his jiu-jitsu was. And it was very entertaining to watch. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to be an entertainer. So I think my second year at Pans as a black belt, I was competing against this girl, Samela, who I've competed against many times before. And I was like, I know I can win. Like, it doesn't even matter what I do. I'm going to try to win like a cool guy. I'm going to try to do cool guy things. So I was like putting her in all these like very elaborate like submissions. And I was like, I had opportunities to like score points or like establish positions. And I was like, fuck that. I'm trying to submit her. I'm trying to do a highlight reel. I'm trying to get highlight reeled on YouTube. And at one point she kept like escaping my submissions, and she rolled us over, and I was putting on a triangle, and I was pulling on my own shin, and I pulled my shin in so hard without moving my hip that I dislocated my own kneecap. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I like partially tore my LCL at the same time. And I heard like and then I went, ah! And then she looked at me, and I was just like, keep going. And I don't know if she spoke English, but I know that if you make a noise and someone is like verbal tap, then the match is over. So I was just like, let's just keep going. And somehow, like by the grace of someone, I was able to lock up my triangle. And I remember thinking in my head, like, my knee was in total pain. Like my leg was super numb. And I was like, if I let go of this triangle, I'm going to lose the match. Like I have to finish this like right now. And somehow I just like put all of my energy and might into like squeezing my entire body like on her. And she tapped and I ended up winning the match. And then I was like, ah. And I think people were thinking that I was like really emotional, like celebrating the win. But I was really just like crying in pain because my leg hurt so bad. And then the referee was like, stop being dramatic, like get up. And I'm like, I can't, my knee. And then he made me get up anyway. And then I'm just like hobbling, getting my hand raised. And then he's kind of like, okay, now get off the mat. Like, what are you doing? And then my opponent like helped hobble me off the mat. And then the paramedics came and like took me away. And what was really funny is when I was like sitting on the massage tables they have set up for like the injured athletes, there were a bunch of people I knew like came by to ask what was wrong. So I had like a bunch of my teammates from Marcelo's and then like Gabby Garcia and like all these like old people that I used to like compete against were like, they're all like meeting, and there's like a really funny photo of one of my old teammates like shaking hands with Gabby in front of me as I'm icing my knee, which just, it was such an excellent moment because even though like I wasn't able to go on to the finals, so I ended up conceding like second place, but it was an excellent like story. It was an excellent kind of show for myself of how far I was willing to go as an athlete, and then all the people that kind of surrounded me afterwards made for like a really fun memory.
Oh, that's a great story.
Yeah. Another, actually, if I do have time, one of my other favorite memories was, I don't know, again, I mentioned the Ribeiro brothers before, Six Blades. Alexandre Ribeiro and I met in the drug testing room after I won Worlds for the first time, and we both peed right before we did our matches, so we couldn't pee, and we were sat in that drug testing room for like 3 hours chugging Gatorade, and we, at some point, us and the drug testing people were the only ones in the locker room, and he was just telling me about all his like weird life stories and how he was gonna like go and drink a tequila shot and then like go teach the next morning. It was really fucking awesome. Yeah. It was just an awesome like little like, oh, this legend is now a friend.
Yeah. Amazing. So you've reached pretty much the highest level of competition in jiu-jitsu. And you've been in that jiu-jitsu mind frame for so long, competition space. I've seen you do a lot of interviews talking about just the shift from always being in competitor mode to now being civilian life. Like, tell us a little bit about how that change, happened and what you went through, through that stage.
Civilian life is is crazy. That's fantastic. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think competition was a huge part of my life. I definitely self-identified as an athlete hardcore. And it was really everything to me. Like, I was a sponsored athlete. I was making most of my money through jiu-jitsu. I was being hired for seminars, doing a lot of traveling. And barring all of that, I really enjoyed the limelight. I enjoyed being seen. I enjoyed the media kind of talking about me and my approach. I enjoyed people doing breakdowns of my game on social media. I just enjoyed being in that buzz, but then I got injured in, I think, 2016. I tore my labrum off of the bone on my left shoulder and I had to get surgery, and the surgery took me out for almost a year. And I sort of started to realize that when I took this time off, the jiu-jitsu world kept going. And this happens in every professional sphere, whether that's like art, music, entertainment, other athletic like places or subsets, that always happens where people just can move on to the next thing, move on to the next person. And I started to realize that a lot of my identity was tied into something that was fluid and completely out of my control. And then I started to kind of think about, well, what was the whole point of me being a competitor? I did a lot of that because it's something that my dad wanted me to do. It's something that my coaches wanted me to do. And people were like, you have a lot of potential. You're really good. You should do it. And it's like, why? And it's like, marketing. This is good for our gym. This is good for your image, for your brand. And I'm like, really, but why? Like, I don't know. I never liked competing. And that's not to say that I didn't enjoy the process of competition. I thought it really helped build my like mental clarity and my discipline. But the whole process is really nerve-wracking, anxiety-inducing, and honestly, I feel like it shaves years off of your life because in jiu-jitsu you have to cut weight and you have to train through injuries and just kind of live a very weird dissociated lifestyle. So when I started to notice all these things, I had this big thought of like, is it worth me running my body into the ground and me depending sort of on other people to give me my sense of self-worth to continue this process when I've already done more than I even thought I could do? Like, I never anticipated becoming a world champion. I was surprised every single time. Every year I was like, me? This person right here?
Yes.
So every time I would have this like very generous surprise happen and have this like imposter syndrome moment, I would just come back and be like, well, I already did it. Like I did the thing that I set out to do, or the goal has been accomplished. So what else is there for me to prove? And then I started to realize that I had a lot of other things that I was really interested in. And then the next kind of reframing process became, what is it that I'm really passionate about, and how can I use the skills that I learned as a pro athlete to help me achieve these new goals and sort of like help find maintenance in myself and my own identity in the kind of evolution of who I am as a human.
Right, right. And we're happy that happened to you because one of your passions is art and murals, correct?
Yes.
Yes, yes. So you've come to many of our gyms and painted a beautiful piece on the wall. So tell us a bit about your work into art and murals.
Yeah, so I think I always knew when I was a kid that art was really resonant for me. It's something that I always did when I was going through tough periods of time, and something that I really enjoyed delving into. I just feel like jiu-jitsu gives you a physical flow, but you have to be actively present in it. Like I always say, in surfing, you have a relationship with like flow with the water. In jiu-jitsu, it's with another person. But you need another person in order to feel that flow. And there is a high stakes risk of injury in anything that you do that's flow related that is in a physical form. Art is super easy to do when you're injured or when you're in like a negative space or like a questioning space, because it's a really tender release. It's very safe. Nothing can happen to you basically, barring an emotional breakdown. And you get to sort of express yourself and work through something that really doesn't have any constrictions. Like we have mediums. You can paint a mural, or you can paint a painting, or make a sculpture, or write a screenplay. You can do any of those, or you can do something completely different and it can still be considered art. And the fact that there are no barriers is what really interests me in being a creative. Murals came about because I met a woman in California that was a huge muralist in China, and she sort of just put the idea into my head and was like, you like painting, you're a painter, you enjoy design, why haven't you ever tried painting murals? And I really thought about it and I didn't have a good answer for her. And then her next sort of prodding was, well, why don't you paint a mural for me? And she owned a gallery in Sacramento at the time, and that had a courtyard space, and she asked if I would take one of the walls in the courtyard and paint it. And I spent about a week working on it in 112-degree weather in North California. I was sweating so hard, feeling like I was going to pass out every day, putting a ladder on a rickety like set of wooden stairs that were ready to splinter and break. And I was the happiest I had been in a long time doing all of that. It felt like really intense work, like manual labor. Like I remember my calves were sore, my back really hurt. I lost like 10 pounds during that week from how much I sweat. It was like a weight cut. And I really enjoyed it. And then when people in the jiu-jitsu community and people like yourselves and business owners started to kind of connect with me and say like, oh, well, maybe I want that for one of my walls, or maybe I want that for like my exterior or my business, then it started to feel like an actual, like an outlet that had money attached to it, because being a fine artist is so difficult. It's so hard to convince somebody like to buy a sculpture or buy a painting. And I'm really grateful for how things have evolved, because it's been like a very natural like metamorphosis with everything. Most recently, I'm super fucking jazzed about this. I got invited to be part of a festival, a mural festival in Hawaii, put on by Worldwide Walls. So I'm gonna get to paint a mural at a school district, an impoverished school district in Honolulu, in September. So I'm really excited about
Congratulations.
that. Yeah, no, it's
Yes.
it's very special, because I was looking at that organization when I first started painting murals, and a lot of the muralists that I currently follow that are very established in the game and are sort of like world recognized, they all have like kind of participated in this event and left their mark in Hawaii in that way. And Hawaii is such a special place to me that it just, I don't know, it just feels extremely special, and I have a lot of gratitude for like moments that we had where I was able to kind of like share my art with you guys as well as be a martial artist with you guys, that now it's expanded in this format.
Yeah, you recently did one of Sean in Midtown.
Yeah.
And I saw the defined muscles that you put on him.
Yeah,
on the
I like to
itself.
exaggerate.
It was
my
real.
role.
It was real.
That's abstract, right?
Yes, it's abstract, 100% abstract.
So we'll definitely include the links on the bottom of the podcast where people can find your work.
We could
and
throw a
hopefully
graphic in right where I'm pointing.
Exactly. Yeah. So tell us now you're on the West Coast as opposed to the East Coast. What do you like about the West Coast more than you like about the East Coast?
This is a very dangerous question.
It is a very dangerous question.
At an East Coast podcast with a bunch of East Coasters.
I wanted to bring some
weather, though,
controversy into the podcast.
Oh,
so,
yeah. This is like gentle controversy. I love it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, I was walking around today in Park Slope and I was just like, it's so hot outside. And I was like, I've grown so soft. Like, I'm like, concrete, trash smell, hot. And like in LA, you're just like, oh, car, AC, ocean, mountain breeze. Like, let me just get my matcha latte. And I'm like, yo, LA softens you up. I'm going to say that. Like, living in New York is hard shit.
Yes.
I know people that come to me, they're like, I really want to move to New York. I'm like, you can't fucking handle it. You can't go to 42nd Street to that train station and climb all those stairs in the winter time and like be sweating in your coat. And then you see a guy throw up in front of you and have to just step over and keep going.
Yes.
And then you're like lugging your laundry at the same time as you have your gi and like your work stuff. No, you're not built for it. That stuff really, I feel like, was an excellent foundation. Like raising your kids in New York, I think, is the best way to get them ready for like prison, any life situation at all. But living in LA is very easy. It's like super expensive, but it's easy. Like it's easy in terms of the weather. It's easy in terms of accessibility, and there's a ton of nature everywhere. So I think that's my primary sort of like reasoning for going to LA was to experience more nature. And there were just a lot of like other opportunities there for me as an artist and as a jiu-jitsu person that were aligning. But right now I'm just realizing that it's just easy, calm living. You don't really feel that hive energy that you do here where everyone's like hustling for something. Everyone has like 4 jobs. Everyone is like an actor, model, singer, whatever in LA, but it's kind of like, how much of that are you actually doing? Yes. You work like 2 hours a day for real.
Barista.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So are you currently teaching classes out there? Are there any future plans for a Dom the Bomb school? Or like, tell us about some of your future plans.
Yeah. So honestly, right now, my future plans are really focused and concentrated in art. I'm really just trying to build up a strong portfolio and like set up a show, which will happen at some point soon in the future, hopefully looking at the fall. And just to continue to progress as a muralist. But I am teaching classes at Frogtown Jiu-Jitsu, which is a gym run by my old instructor, Paul Schreiner, who used to be the second in command at Marcelo's. It's an excellent gym, so please stop by if you're ever in LA. It's really good vibes, and I'll beat you up for free. And I just have been teaching pretty sporadically at the gym, but starting in the fall, I'll be kind of regularly scheduled in for classes. And being at that gym has really reprogrammed sort of like my own anticipation for learning. I did not enjoy learning these last like 3 or 4 years. I mostly enjoyed going into a gym space and like beating people up and feeling like, or getting beat up. Yeah, not saying that I don't get beat up, and feeling like that state of flow. But I guess I had sort of like a jaded outlook and was like, oh, well, I don't like what this person is offering me. I like my game because it works better for me. So I'm just like not going to integrate it. Versus now, I think Paul is a really excellent teacher, and he's a technician that focuses in a very roundabout way on everything. It's not just his game. It's not just someone else's game. He really has a significantly developed approach for honing in on what it is that you excel at and just tweaking and adding details to what you do. So it's been excellent learning from him, and I feel like it's really transformed me as an instructor as well. So yeah, come by the gym. You guys, open invite. Yeah. Sean especially. Sean, I'll strike with you if we can train. But like, yeah, I have to have like beach ball gloves on. Like it can't be for real.
Exactly.
So we just stand up.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh God, I don't know why I said that. May I delete that? Please take it out. It's not on record.
Yeah. And are there any future plans to coach the next generation of competitors because you've been through that grind and you've been through that struggle? Do you think that you're gonna be transitioning into coaching anytime soon?
I think that's sort of a natural transition. I never really kind of like planned it out. I have one of my friends, Danny Olafson. She is a super talented purple belt. She just got second at Worlds. She should have won first, but it was like there was a big referee screw up, IBJJF things. And she's just a super talented competitor that I've been like sort of helping from the side. She never was like, I want you to be my coach. Like, let's do this. It sort of happened very like naturally and organically. And I really enjoy it. I feel as though I'm receiving all of the dopamine and endorphins I did from being a competitor, from watching her compete and watching her prepare. I'm also noticing how much of coaching is letting go of yourself, because coaches see themselves in their athletes, and I see myself in Danny, and I find myself giving her advice that I would want to hear, but it's not necessarily right for her, right? The way she reacts, the way she processes information, the way she learns as an athlete, and the way she emotionally carries herself is different from the way that I am. And it's not better or worse, it's just different. And I need to sort of check myself and put myself in a place where I'm like, no, you don't say what's best for you for her, you say what's best for her, and you kind of hold back where you would want to see yourself in her, if that makes sense. Because I think a lot of coaches are trying to sort of work out the parts of themselves that maybe they didn't get a chance to spotlight on through their athletes. So just trying to be cautious about that, but also celebrating the nature of someone being themselves and you helping them kind of get to that point and achieve that victory is excellent. Like, I highly recommend it. If someone out there is an athlete that is considering stopping competing, coaching is a fantastic outlet for some of those like missed emotions.
Oh no, that's great advice. Sean, do you feel the same way when you're coaching your Muay Thai fighters? Are you really looking to bring out their own style, or would you rather they do the basics? Or I know a lot of people. I've heard from some of my friends that the gym they go to, the coach tries to make them fight their style or the way they used to fight. Like what's your philosophy on that?
No, I'm pretty much like Dom. Like, not everyone, like, my style was very kind of like in your face, and not everyone, and to be in someone's face just means that you're going to get hit, you're going to get hurt at times, and not everyone's built for that. So a lot of times I just kind of see the way they move and, you know, how they function in sparring and on the pads, and then I try and kind of gear things towards kind of each individual, really.
Gotcha, yeah. And Dom, are you available for private training sessions and things like that?
Oh my God,
can
of
some of the
course.
viewers reach out to you
Yes,
to schedule that?
of course. I'm always available for anything. Hit me up for murals, hit me up for privates. Again, I'm located in Pasadena, California right now, but if you want to fly me out somewhere, I'm not gonna fight that.
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna go do a seminar in the UK in Cambridge next week. So I'm really excited about that. So I'm also available for seminars if you want to relocate me somewhere.
Oi, oi, oi.
Oi, oi,
Oi, in the UK.
Is that that's a UK thing, right? Oi, oi, oi.
Well, just oi.
Just oi?
Oi, yeah.
Oi.
Oi is like calling someone.
Oi, oi.
Oi, oi,
Yeah.
oi, oi.
Oi, mate. Oi,
Well,
mate.
Dom, it's been oi, 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 fun to have you on the show.
Hey.
And you're welcome on our show anytime. And when you're ready for your podcast, Sean and I will jump on your podcast.
You mean I can come back to our show?
Yes, our show.
Kit and the Brit and Dom. Kit and the Brit and the non-Brit. Yeah.
Yes, done. Anytime.
All
You're
right,
welcome.
anytime.
Thank you.
for having.
Thank you so much
Thank you
for
for coming.
having me.
Yay.